Did you know creditors frequently resort to intimidating debtors into paying, or that they may not even be able to do anything to you in terms of collecting on the debt? Well, there are all sorts of people out there, and knowing about the antics they are going to pull is the only way to safeguard your interests. Hello, and welcome to our channel. Today we are going to talk about the things that creditors do not want you to know. So, let us begin. It's awful enough to be saddled with debt you can't pay back, but having a debt collector constantly bother you only makes things worse. And don't imagine for a second that they'll be lenient with you. These individuals have one goal in mind: to amass as much wealth as possible. Because many debtors lack even fundamental awareness of their rights, many take unfair and criminal advantage of them. Know your rights under the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, and you can escape debt collectors' traps. Are you obligated to talk with credit agencies? Well, the simple answer is no. You must be sick of the constant harassing calls and letters from the collection agency. A well-worded cease and desist letter will make those businesses halt immediately. But you should know that they may take legal action in response. The collection agency may also send you a written notice when they decide to stop trying to collect from you, or when they file a lawsuit to do so. Do not disregard the initial call from the debt collector, and do not disregard a court summons relating to the debt. The collector has the responsibility to explain the nature of the debt in the initial contact and any subsequent correspondence. The following is what the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau has to say about that. If you file a written dispute of a debt, or a portion of a debt, within 30 days of when you receive the required information from the debt collector, the collector is prohibited from contacting you by phone or mail until after your dispute has been investigated and the collector has provided written verification of the debt to you. You might also ask the creditor for the original creditor's contact information. If you submit such a written request during the 30-day period, the debt collector must immediately cease all collection efforts until it supplies you with the requested details. There may be a violation of the FDCPA if the debt collector contacts you before the investigation is complete, or if they begin harassing you about the debt. You can submit a complaint with the Federal Trade Commission, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, or your state's Attorney General's office. You might also try looking for a free legal aid service. Are your assets at risk? Representatives attempting to collect on a past due account may harass you, within reason, as part of the collection process. But a court order is required before they can garnish your pay. That's not the case with every debt. A court order is not necessary for the federal government to garnish your earnings due to a student loan debt, for instance. Defaulting on a mortgage or vehicle loan is an exception to the rule. A foreclosure proceeding may not be necessary in some states. The repo man will not require a warrant to take your vehicle. Do you have to disclose your personal information? Your social security number and date of birth are not required to be given to debt collectors by any legislation. It's not necessary to verify the debt, despite what they might say. Are you able to negotiate? Debt collectors are usually open to compromise if you're having trouble making your payments. If you can pay the entire amount in one lump sum, they may be willing to accept a lesser settlement. They may be flexible enough to figure out a payment plan that suits you. It turns out that the last few days of the month are prime time to negotiate a favorable settlement with your creditors. During an interview with Daily Finance, Fred Williams, a former collector and author of Fight Back Against Unfair Debt Collection Practices, Know Your Rights and Defend Yourself from Threats, Lies, and Intimidation, said, "Most organizations, I believe, follow a monthly calendar. Bonuses for collectors are often decided upon at the conclusion of each month. They were more threatening because they needed to meet their quotas, but that was also the best time to strike a deal because they needed the money badly. They require quick payment of any settlement. In order to seal the agreement, wait until the end of the month." Will creditors tell other people about your debt? Debt collectors are not permitted to discuss your outstanding sums with anyone other than you, your spouse, your co-signer, or your attorney. Also, once you've been found, they can't keep in touch with the persons they contacted while trying to track you down. Credit.com quoted consumer attorney Sukhman Dami as saying, "Third-party disclosures are extremely widespread, especially when the debt collector leaves a message on a public answering machine, and they constitute a violation of Section 1692 CB of the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act." FOTI offenses, named after the seminal case FOTI v. NCO Financial Systems, involve infringing upon the rights of the general public with respect to the use of automated telephone dialing systems. Is debt consolidation a good option? Consolidating debt is a common financial strategy for people with numerous debts. Debt consolidation entails obtaining a loan to pay off existing obligations and then paying only one payment each month to the new lender. This may look like a wonderful choice, but there are some potential drawbacks to consider. First, interest rates and costs on debt consolidation loans can be rather substantial. It's possible that you'll spend more money in the end than if you'd just dealt with each obligation when it came due. Second, consolidating debts might have a negative impact on credit scores. This is because getting a new loan can have a negative impact on your credit score. If you're thinking about consolidating your debt, it's important to shop around and find the best deal possible. Try to find a loan company that has a low interest rate and no extra charges. Before signing any paperwork related to a loan, be sure you have read and fully understand all of the loan terms. Learn the monthly payment, the overall cost of the loan, and any fees associated with paying off the loan early or paying it off late. Credit counseling and debt management services are alternate choices. To do this, consult a non-profit credit counseling service and work up a suitable repayment schedule and budget. Also, the organization may be able to negotiate with your creditors to reduce interest rates and waive costs. If you are having trouble making your monthly payments but would prefer to avoid taking out a new loan, this may be a viable alternative for you. Is the timeline important when it comes to debt? Collectors of past due debts are legally barred from pursuing you for payment once the state's statute of limitations has run out, but they usually won't tell you that. Attorney Jonathan Ginsburg of Atlanta, who specializes in bankruptcies, told Credit.com, the statute of limitations in most states is between 4 and 6 years from the due date of your last payment. The catch is that the voluntary payment of a dormant debt can restore its collectability in some jurisdictions. Dead debt, he says, is a lucrative market. This piece of advice was offered by Stacy Johnson, a financial expert for Money Talks News. Remember that unless the obligation has been charged off or erased in bankruptcy, you are still liable for paying it, even after the statute of limitations has passed. In other words, the amount remains due and owed, but the time limit on pursuing legal action to do so has passed. If you find yourself in this predicament, it is recommended that you contact a consumer lawyer. You can find one on the website of the National Association of Consumer Advocates for advice. A further piece of advice when dealing with debt collectors is to never admit guilt before verifying both the legitimacy of the debt and the collection agency. Debt might feel like an insurmountable obstacle, but knowing your rights and alternatives can help you take control. You may regain control of your financial condition if you arm yourself with knowledge and take the initiative. If you are confused about what steps to take, it is important to do your homework and consult with experts. We appreciate you tuning in and hope to see you again soon. So that is all the time we had today, folks. Hope you enjoyed this video. Do not forget to subscribe to our channel and do hit the bell icon on your way out. See you all next time on Top 5 Hive.